This is the Hard Thing Podcast.
Today, we are overcoming average. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Hard Thing Podcast. This is the podcast designed to help you weaponize the everyday hard things in your life for the battle against mediocrity. We want to help you move forward and have a better life, a more fulfilling life, by taking those things that are difficult, embracing them, or choosing to do them anyways, and using that to make yourself a better person, more capable to face whatever faces you in life. And today is our Thursday show. I'm here, your co-host, Justin Lewis, with other co-host, Ty Crockett. Mm-hmm. And today's our Thursday show where you hear from me and Ty putting ourselves in the trenches, putting ourselves on display as experiments of doing hard things. Otherwise, you can hear us on Monday with our Monday show where I interview guests, high-performing individuals who have been there, done that, actually gotten their hands dirty, lived to tell the tale, and that's why we're having that conversation with them, to really pull out those principles of doing hard things and using that to make your life better. But let's get to today's show. First of all, today's show, I am going to report on the challenge you gave me 2 weeks ago. Ty, let's see if you can remember what that challenge is.
Your challenge is to do, I think, 6 400s.
Yes. Originally, the challenge was to do three 400s, but I did take myself on the challenge to do 6 400s.
Oh, snap.
And I failed.
Oh, man.
I ended up doing 3 full ones and then 2
not so full
part ones. So I did full ones, so 3 full ones, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 that I only did 50 pull-ups, but I did everything else.
Okay.
Just because it was easier to do with time and such. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, for those of you out there who are looking for really good exercise, a 400 is really good. It's also really hard.
It includes a 100 squat with 45 pounds on each side. Mm-hmm. Includes 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups.
Mm-hmm. Also, the sit-ups were kind of hard just because, I didn't know how my form was. I'm pretty sure my form broke down often because it's hard to do it when there's no one standing on your feet.
Yeah.
But
well, what I do is I put a 45-pound weight on my feet, and then I just push the feet out just a little bit away from my body, and then that way it creates enough friction and enough pressure on that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that.
I can't do, sit-ups without any weight on the feet is pretty hard anyway.
Yeah. But I want to do it. I want to get better at it.
Yeah, me too.
This challenge also made me really focused on wanting to improve my pull-ups.
Yeah.
'Cause I want to be able to do many,
Yeah, me too. So I'm curious, what were some of the ways that you were? What are some of the things that you learned doing it? For example, I learned to not alternate between squats and pull-ups anymore. And the reason why I say that is because both are so tiring. Yeah. Because the squat is essentially a full body.
Yeah.
You're using all these muscles. And then the pull-ups, at least for me, I just don't do them that often. And so what I did is I actually separated it out. So I did the 50 or the 100 squats up front. And then I did a rotation between all the other 3, doing 10 sets at a time. Yeah. That seemed to be easier for me.
I agree. What I did was, at first, I did it differently. I did it the way you described how you did sets of pull-ups and squats.
Alternating.
Yeah. And because I could only do, and I wanted to keep the counting simple, because if I didn't, I would get messed up and that would piss me off. So I did sets of 5 on squats and pull-ups. The squats were easy because it's only 5, but the pull-ups sucked. Mm-hmm. And then I did alternating push-ups and sit-ups. What I tried on Monday, though, was I just did squats, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. And so I did sets of 10 on squats, push-ups, sit-ups, and then sets of 5. And I just did squat. I did that as one set. Mm-hmm. And then I took a 10-second break, drink some water, kind of get my breath, and then do it all over again. what I learned, I see what you were saying about how it's an endurance event.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't think I didn't see it before, but like when you get to like the 7th or 8th set, you're like, wow, like I'm tired, but I'm not failing
Yeah.
at these squats. Like I can do these squats pretty easily. Also, I learned that my body lies to me because I'm waking up in the morning, right? And I do the first set of squats and my legs are like, you can't do this at all. And then I do the second set and I'm like, it's a little bit better. Third set. And then it's like, okay, you're done. And then I do like 4 more sets and I'm like, I'm almost done. And then I just want to do them more so I can finish faster. And it's like, you're a liar, body,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how your body. What's the percentage? Like people say that like
Yeah, 40% I think it is.
40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like once you've hit your max or what you think is your max, you've only hit 40%.
Part of me suspects that that's only for high performing athletes because I feel like for me, when I hit my max, I've only hit like 10, 20%. Like you could actually pull a lot more out of me, but maybe that's just like how mentally tough I am, as in like I need to work on my mental toughness.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. What's stopping you from being a high performing athlete? You.
Yeah.
So you're maxing yourself out, which means you could hit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was a great challenge, especially because like doing one of them would have been super easy, right?
Yeah.
And doing 3 honestly was kind of easy because I could space them out. Doing 6 was tough because I'd have to do like I did one on Monday and then I did one yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning I didn't even work out because I was so gosh darn tired,
Yeah.
like physically and like emotionally. I don't know, but I'm planning on doing one today to make up for not working out this morning. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think I've only done 2 in a week because like it's an entire body workout.
yeah,
So you do it on a Monday or something, and then like you want to take a rest day. Yeah. Probably shouldn't. To be honest, this week I was planning. So today's Wednesday. Monday I did one, and then yesterday I just did a chest workout.
yeah,
So then today I wanted to go to the gym and do a full one again, and see how I fared with like the push-ups after doing my workout yesterday.
yeah,
And so this week was going to be my experiment week to like see how far I could take my body, through this, see how many times I could do it in a week or whatever.
it definitely helped me with my goal to do a Murph, like a full Murph,
Yeah.
within an hour and 20 minutes because I feel like the push-ups were no problem to me at all. The squats were actually easy, which surprised me. So I think I could do pretty well with
The air
doing
squat.
the air squats. The sit-ups, well, I guess you don't have to do the sit-ups in a real Murph, but
Yeah.
I think I'm still going to do it because,
Just for fun.
yeah.
Are you going to run?
Yeah.
That's the part that would get me.
Also, it's going to get cold soon. So
I actually love the cold.
running in the cold?
I mean, not the freezing cold. I don't like running because then you get sweaty and it's like makes you more cold.
Yeah.
But I do like cold. I prefer the cold.
Yeah.
Actually, last year I was running and I just took my shirt off and it was freezing outside. It was like snowing.
Yeah.
And it was like the best feeling ever. Like it hurt. Like
Yeah.
It was cold and I was like frigid and,
Right.
and afterwards like my body, you could tell that it was like the sting of the cold.
Yeah.
But like the feeling of that pain running as you're running, it was just like empowering almost.
Yeah. I get that. I like doing these challenges because
Yeah.
they definitely push me more than I would. Like here's kind of a theory of mine. If you feel like you've hit a plateau physically in your exercises or whatnot, you either need to change things up, or you need someone to challenge you to do something that you're like, I can't do, because I think that'll break your plateau.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think 100%. If you are plateaued, it's because you're doing the same workouts. Do other workouts. Take a break.
Yeah.
It's the 6-week thing, right?
Yeah.
What I try to do, just because 6 weeks is like a month and a half,
Yeah.
and so it's like kind of hard.
It's kind of
in
annoying.
the middle of the month. Gosh dang, I don't want to remember to.
Yeah.
So it's nice to. I do 2 months.
Yeah, because then you can kind of plan out your year too and be like,
Yeah.
December, January, because it's all winter crap.
I mean, I don't go that far. I don't plan out like.
But like, still, you can kind of match it up with the seasons. Like,
Right.
at the end of October,
Exactly.
I'll be like, okay, heavy lifting,
Well, because
and less cardio.
before I started doing these kind of workouts where we're like doing the Murph and this 400 thing, I was doing like heavy deadlift,
Yeah.
heavier weight
Yeah.
workouts, and a lot of swimming. And so this time around, I'm going to do a lot of endurance, which is, Murph kind of is endurance to me. Anyway.
I'd say so.
I'd say so too. So the 400, the Murph, swimming could still, I guess technically it's not cardio.
I'd say it is.
Swimming?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. When I say cardio, I was thinking aerobic. It's anaerobic. Right?
I don't know.
Either way. Anyways, it is cardio. But running, things like that, that's what this 6-week period is going to be. But yeah, like you were saying, if you're plateaued, because for years I was plateaued. I was just like not moving. And then I just started doing these heavy deadlifts.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I'm seeing changes. I'm doing, because I wasn't doing deadlifts previously.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I do trap bar deadlifts. I know some people might think I'm the worst because of it, but my lower back has been destroyed because of deadlifts in the past.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Be safe out there.
Be safe out
Kiddos.
there when you're doing your workouts.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about the action items given to us by this last week's guest. For those of you who haven't had a chance to listen, go back and listen to episode 69 with Richard Matthews. It was a super fun conversation. I'd say the highlight of that podcast was him telling the story of when he used the sniper method to get a job for which he had no qualifications. He was facing 250 other candidates for the same job. It was a director of marketing position, a C-suite level marketing position. And because of his method and putting himself out there in such a unique way, he was able to beat out 250 other applicants who had the qualifications this company was looking for, as well as get above the pay they were offering and get a signing bonus. It was a super cool conversation, and he's just like fun to talk to. Plus, I mean, he's into marketing and I'm into marketing, so it was just fun. Anyways, the action items he gave us were 4 things. First one is to do the hard things first. Second one, to play. Third one, to give yourself restrictions. And 4, do one thing a day that moves your business forward. All right, Ty, what were your thoughts with the first one?
Well, the first one, do hard things first. There's another phrase that I know, which is do first things first and second things second.
Right.
And I think it's so important to realize what the priority is and then achieve that first, because the things that you need to do are generally not things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And so the things that you want to do, like you're going to do it because you want to do it. Like,
yeah.
So sometimes it's like, I want to watch a movie and I need to clean the house. It's like, well, I'm going to end up watching the movie because I want to,
Yep.
So, and if I watch the movie first, then I'm not going to have time because I don't want to. So it's going to be, I'm tired now.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to go to bed and then I'll do it in the morning. No, do the dishes now, takes 15 minutes, and then sit down and watch your movie because you're going to want to do that anyway. So yeah, hard things. And the funny thing is, at least for me anyway, a lot of hard things actually end up not being hard. They're just hard, like mentally, like, oh man, I got to do that. And then you end up doing it and, oh, that wasn't even that hard.
Yeah. 2 examples. One, super quick one, windshield wipers on cars. That's the epitome of what Ty's talking about as being not that hard, but something we all mostly, at least me, I procrastinate doing just because you don't want to go buy them and then you don't want to like put them on.
Wait, what?
Windshield wipers.
Buying them?
Yeah.
You need to buy them?
No, I don't, but I have in the past.
Okay.
Like
You're just saying like it's one of those things that like
like you see on your car whenever it's raining
has streaks and it's not cleaning up all totally.
and sometimes like the freaking thing is like actually coming off, the squeegee's falling off.
Yeah.
And your wife keeps telling you and you're like, yeah, but like you never make time to go do it, even though it's so easy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But another example, I actually served a mission for my church in Italy. Without going into too much details, basically the point of the mission is to serve and preach, right? After a full week, and when I first started out there, after a full week of disappointments, really, of having appointments with people who were interested in learning fall through, the guy I was with, my trainer, he was training me on how to do this. We realized that we hadn't taken time to plan our week, right? We hadn't done weekly planning. Instead, we were going helter-skelter, trying to do whatever we could and focusing on work. And after one particularly disappointing day, when we just had rejection after rejection after rejection, we were like, you know what? We got to go plan, because we can't do this effectively if we're not planning and like trying to take care of the people who do want to listen to us but just can't, you know. And that might be a little ambiguous, but I distinctly remember the feeling of, you know, having an appointment fall through where someone wanted to hear from us, but they didn't show up, and we didn't really know what else to do. So we're like, you know what, we got to figure out better ways to go about what we're trying
Have
to do.
backup plans and have yeah.
So that was one example for me. Now, it's funny that you bring up the example of watching a movie versus cleaning your house, because the next action item is play. And on the podcast, Richard Matthews actually said, playing in his company, playing isn't the reward for getting hard work done, but playing is the requisite in order to do hard work. That's what he said. And I've read books like The Happiness Advantage and things like that. Ty, what are your thoughts about playing?
Well, I'm glad that you brought up what he said about it being like a requisite to do to do the hard work.
Right.
One thing that's hard for me is realizing that. So, for example, my hobby my entire life has been coding.
Yeah.
And then I get old enough to get a job and move into that career path, right?
Yep.
Now that's my job. That's what I do all day.
Yeah.
So, after work, my hobby is still coding. And so sometimes I'll end up coding other things, like a game I'm working on, or like a website or whatever it might be, something fun or something, whatever it might be, right? I'm coding, but it's for myself. And it's hard because separating, especially now that I work from home, I'm sitting at the same desk as I would be from working. So it's almost like I'm not playing anymore. It's like it's just a continuation of work, even though I'm not doing anything for my company, for the company I'm working for. And so for me, play is like changing things up, like getting out of the office area that I'm in, playing the guitar, going on a hike, going to the gym, doing any other thing than coding.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like learning like that sometimes the things that I've enjoyed in the past have now become, they're not things I do to play anymore. They're things I do to work. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very insightful. I think the underscoring principle behind these two first action items, and all of them I'd say, is just having a wisdom to know, I guess discernment, really. Discerning when you're working too hard and when the hard things are play. Like last week, I took the whole week off of work because my wife and I, we celebrated our anniversary. And we were scheduled to go on this trip, but because of COVID-19, the trip failed. And we just took the week off anyways. So I was just hanging around the house. And it was kind of hard for me not to like check in on work and make sure that I wasn't getting tasks and things like that. It was hard for me to, and I also tried to take a step back from some of my other goals. Basically just do the bare minimum for a week, actually take a vacation, try and spend as much time with my wife. It was hard for me to do that. And that's what I mean as far as like, you have to have a wisdom to know when to step back and when not to, because my wife, I'm the kind of person that will definitely work way too much. I can see that in my future as being something my kids might complain about, that I'm working too much, and I'm trying to take steps to avoid that. But I'm grateful that I took this week off, because as I was telling Ty before the podcast, it actually gave me some clarity on the actions I am trying to take and helped me become a little bit more focused,
Yeah, actually, that's kind of funny that you bring that up, because I feel like when, as you go to your job, that's what you're doing for the majority of the time that you're awake, or I mean, depending on how long you're awake.
Yeah.
But for a long period of time every day, right? And so suddenly that becomes more of a priority in your mind, and you start to let other things that were priorities fall behind.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you take work off, I don't know about you, but there's been times where like I'll get a new job, and I'll like think while I'm working at the the old company,
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself like, oh man, I'm going to miss the people that I work with, or I'm going to miss the job that I'm in, or whatever it is, And of course, like I do miss some people that I've left. But you go to the new company and it's almost like that day that you're in the new company, like you forget entirely about all the friends you had from the other company. That sounds so terrible, but like
You move on.
Yeah, you get to move on, and how does this relate to what you were talking about? Because I don't remember that.
What's I talking about?
Play
Yeah.
or something.
Well, just like being able to move from work to other things and discernment. I was talking about discernment.
I don't remember why I brought this up.
Okay.
All right, let's just move on.
Anyways. Number 3, I wanted to give some clarification because, like, the way it's written and the way he said, it doesn't really sound like the way he was describing it. So it's in the context of putting constraints. So he used the example of he works at home and he spends a lot of time with his family. His family is like stay at home, basically,
Yeah.
right? He gives the example of today I promised my kid that at 2:00 I'm taking him to the pool. So I have to get everything in my work done before 2:00 today. And he also puts the example of saying like, hey, maybe you work for yourself. You say, I will no longer work on Fridays. That might mean you do all your work Monday through Thursday, but you get Fridays off. And sometimes you work on Fridays, but that constraint is there to kind of guide how you're working. And it was really interesting because the conversation in part did talk about like, I didn't ask specifically work-life balance questions, but it did talk a lot about work-life balance.
Yeah.
And just really molding your work to fit your life rather than your life to fit your work. So that's the context of that action item.
Yeah. What's the old like metaphor? It's like putting like self-restraint, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we're talking about.
Yes.
Is self-restraint.
Yeah.
It's kind of the old idea of how does a kite stay in the air?
Yeah.
Because the string is holding it to the surface.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and people might think like, oh no, you need to cut the string so that you can let the kite be free. And then you cut it and it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And it breaks. And the reason why is because it needs to have that tension. And that tension is the restraint that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so if we want to get up to higher heights, we need to have
that tension.
You could say like you need more strain.
Yeah.
You could say you need more restraint.
Yeah.
Self-constraint.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, no, that's right. That's totally true. I completely agree. Let me give you the example of my work, right? At my work, I get given tasks, and every task has a different amount of time used to complete it. And obviously, I only have a certain amount of time in the day. There is a noticeable difference in my productivity when I have many tasks due in one day versus no tasks due in that day and almost no tasks on my plate. And even just like a normal day where I have enough tasks to fill the day versus I have a lot of tasks that I have to get done, I always seem to get many tasks done because I have to, rather than, pushing ahead on a normal day when I only have 4 tasks due. Does that make sense?
yeah.
The constraint of deadlines pushes me to get more work done in less time because you have to. And another example, I use this in my life this week when I think it was Monday. I was working and my wife was also doing editing photos. She's a photographer. When I finished working, so I started on working on my side projects. And I was working there for like 2 hours. And then it hit 6 o'clock and I was like, I have not really seen my wife today. I have to stop working. Otherwise, we won't be really spending any time with each other today. So I purposely shut down my computer, walked away, and I made us go do something. Mm-hmm. Right? I think we went to actually Home Depot and PetSmart, which is still fun.
Yeah.
I like Home Depot.
That's how you know we're getting old.
No, dude. I went to Home Depot because I built a desk for Michaela, for my wife, for anniversary.
Cool.
So she can work. Yeah, and we're working on that together a little bit now. But and that's one form of fun, But there was a big difference in the time we spent together that night because I decided, you know what, I'm cutting it off here. I could work more, but I'm gonna get myself off the computer. I'm gonna get her off the computer. We're gonna go out and do something together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then the last action item is to do one thing a day that moves your business forward. Again, underscoring this idea is the principle of wisdom and discernment, knowing what moves your business forward. That's, I think, one of the hardest things in business is knowing what actions are worth taking rather than what can I do.
Yeah. And I think, well, first of all, if people have not heard of Mark Kohler, go look him up because he talks about the importance of having a business in the first place.
Yes.
Even if it's just like a simple business that gets you money, there's so many tax benefits and so many it'll make your life better.
It's worth it.
So that being said, you're right. Like trying to find like, what do I need to do today to move my business forward? I think that the answer comes from, do you have a well-defined mission? Do you have a well-defined vision? Because if you do, you can look at those things and immediately know what the action you should take that day.
Yes.
So that's just kind of food for thought. So if you don't know what to do every single day, then maybe you should work harder on defining what you actually want the business to achieve.
Yeah. I think that is so insightful. I'm reading a book right now called Made to Stick. It's really fascinating, and I hope it helps improve the podcast. But one of the principles in the book is concreteness. And it talks about, there's this memory exercise. Like, for example, everyone, I want you to remember what is the capital of Kansas, right? Now, I want you to remember your childhood home. Doing that exercise brings up two different types of memories, right? It's harder to remember that Topeka is the capital of Kansas, but when you...
I was going to say Lawrence because I've been watching Supernatural. Sorry.
But no, when you remember your childhood home, so much more comes up in your mind, right? So many memories. And it's because your childhood home has much more concreteness in your mind because you've lived there and you've developed all these memories in your mind rather than just Topeka, unless you live in Topeka. So with what Ty said, in forming your goals, the more concrete you can get, the better, because you remember it. It's one thing to say, I want our business to make $100,000 this year. And it's another thing to say, I want our business to have changed one person's life at least. Like, that's a totally different goal, right? And it's much more concrete. It's the difference between we need to beat the Soviet Union in the Cold War and let's put a man on the moon and bring him home safely by the end of the decade. That's an example given in the book, JFK. Putting the man on the moon and bringing him home safely. That is a concrete goal that people can remember. So in crafting your vision and trying to move towards that one thing, make it concrete. And I think it becomes easier to gauge what's moving the needle because you start thinking, is this moving me towards this? Rather than, is this moving me towards an ambiguous feeling of happiness?
Yeah, and what I have to say is slightly a tangent from this. I mean, it still is in the same realm, but years and years ago, I was talking to this guy who had been addicted to heroin for like 10 years. Wow. And by the time I met him, he had been free of any addiction for 5 years. Wow. And so I was just like sitting with him, we were talking, and I just like, I asked him, how were you able to just stop being addicted to heroin? Because I've heard that that's like one of the most addictive substances. And he like looked me in the face and kind of laughed and said, because I wanted to. And I was like, oh, it's that simple. Like, it's really not that simple, but like it is in the sense that like, if you really want something, you will make that something happen. That thing will be. That's why it's so important to have concrete priorities, concrete ideas of what you want to achieve just in life and in business. Because if you want it, you'll get it. If you actually wanted the thing that you say you want, like if you actually wanted it, you would do everything to make it happen.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. That gives me a couple ideas for the online course that me and Ty might make. But let's talk about the challenge that you will now give me for 2 weeks from now. Ty,
Let's do it.
what are you going to challenge me to do?
There are 3 options that I have before me that I will lay upon you, and you may choose 2.
I am ready. Wait, what?
You said you were ready.
No,
You can't take
I'm
it
not
back.
ready.
Okay. Number 1 is going to be another fitness challenge. Run 1 mile every single day.
Wow.
So that would be
Except
14,
Sunday.
14 miles.
I don't do exercises on Sundays.
That would be 12 miles.
1 mile every single day. Okay, next.
Okay. The second one, well, this one actually may not. Let's go to the third one and then this doesn't
Third
matter.
one.
Okay. Which is technically the second one anyway. It doesn't
Just go.
is to get, kind of like we were talking about, if you actually want something, you'll make it happen. 3 challenges from FB.
I like that.
And the last one, so this one's kind of dependent on where you're even at, but have a plan and a deadline surrounding moving out and having your own place. You may man. You may pick any of those 3.
That's good. Those are good ones.
On the fly. You said creativity loves restraint.
Dude, those are
so-
good. That's what I mean. Because, like, they're making me, in contemplating them, start to think in new ways. And I think that's one of the most important things. And yes, I am stalling. I think that's one of the most important things of doing these challenges and doing hard things is because you think in different ways. Einstein said, we can't solve the problems we created yesterday with the same mentality we used to create them, or something like that.
Yep.
I'm paraphrasing, but like this is changing us inside, and then we change our outside.
Right. And the thing that I love about this is that, like, and falling in line exactly with what you just said, is that, like, I don't even know what kind of challenges are out there
Right.
for me, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, so when you bring things up, I'm like, man, I didn't even think about doing that. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to do it.
Or even like I didn't think about doing that because I don't want to because it's hard.
Yeah.
And then you're like, do this, and you're like, okay, well,
Right, fine.
I might have to do this.
Yes.
Honestly, I am torn between 1 and 2.
Wait, the original 2 or
The
the second one I
the
gave
challenges from Facebook one, that one.
you? Okay.
Gosh, which one should I do? Are there any constraints on these?
What does that mean?
Like
Like what? Like
3 challenges from Facebook? Could that just be from my Facebook profile, or does it have to be
any...
the Facebook group?
Well, because here's the thing. Because, okay, so this is a good idea. This is a good little game we can play.
Yeah.
The purpose of, like, what do we want? What's the end goal?
The commander's intent. I see what you're saying.
Wait, what?
Like what's the fruit you're trying to reap
Yes.
from doing these challenges, right? Like go after that fruit using this challenge.
Yes, I don't care what it takes because, like I said, if
Right.
you want it, you'll do everything you need to
Right.
get it.
Right. And in doing everything you need to, you might do some things that you wouldn't normally do, but that are actually going to get you to where you need to go. Like you'll stop worrying about doing things a particular way and instead do things that you need to do to
make
get
it
that
happen.
thing.
Yes. Now that being said, in the future there might be some like these challenges are for the sake of achieving the challenge.
Yeah.
Some challenges have restraint on them, and that makes them
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they're the challenge. So in this sense, I would say all of these are going to be the challenge themselves. So just however you want to achieve it.
I think I'm going to get 3 challenges
Oh,
from Facebook.
There it is. Got to start a community somewhere.
Yeah. And yes. And it doesn't have to be, okay, no. I'm going to get 3 challenges from people besides me and you.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Cool.
Because we're already doing it.
Yeah. Cool. I will do that. And I might also run some miles, but I don't think I'm going to run one every day.
Yeah.
But maybe.
It's okay, because I'll put these on the list. And I will
Dude.
start maintaining a list.
Thank you. Actually, I might want to come back to that one later.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening to another episode of the podcast. If you loved today's episode, even if you kind of liked it, or even if you didn't like it, I still want you to support the podcast. There are a couple ways you can do that. First one is I want to give you something for free. So you can actually get a free audiobook today from Audible. Just go to audibletrial.com/thehardthingpodcast. We mentioned a couple books today. If you want to get any of those on Audible, just go to that link, get that free audiobook, as well as start your free 30-day trial. Audible has over 180,000 titles and all sorts of genres. It's really worth it, especially because it's free. So go get that free audiobook. Next, if you want to support the podcast, simplest thing to do is just hit subscribe. Also hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. Never miss a single episode. Like I said, we have episodes on Mondays and Thursdays. And if you want even more out of this movement, this podcast, join us in the Facebook group. As well, you can submit challenges to us on what we should do during these episodes. Go to facebook.com/groups/thehardthingpodcast. Last but not least, I want you to go to OURrescue.org and get involved with Operation Underground Railroad. They're a nonprofit organization. They go undercover to rescue kids from sex trafficking. They do a lot of really good work for children who have no hope at all. And during these times when kids are thinking about trick-or-treating and whatnot, there's a lot of kids out there thinking about their next meal or thinking about avoiding abuse from someone they thought they might have been able to trust. Operation Underground Railroad goes undercover to rescue kids from sex trafficking. Help us help them. Actually, you can help us help them by donating to the fund we're trying to grow for them. We're trying to donate $1,000 to them. So go to GoFundMe.com/overcoming-average. Donate some money there, or just go to OURrescue.org. Just get involved. Thank you guys so much for listening and paying attention. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without you. We love having these conversations. We hope it's making you guys better people. It's fulfilling you. And we hope that you guys are going out and doing hard things, because every single time you do, you will overcome average.